Welcome to another edition of What's Up with yours truly, Dr. A. Nathan Young. We're here at our Covington campus. And listen, in just a minute, we're going to go inside for our teaching part of the service. But before we do that, listen, we want to know how this message impacts you, how it changes your life, how it inspires you. We'd like to hear how God is using this broadcast in your life. You can let us know that by emailing me, Pastor Nate at myfaithbible.org. You can also mail in a letter or a card or what have you to 1148 North Columbia Street, Covington, Louisiana, 70433. You can message me on Facebook. My name on there is A. Nathan Young. And you can message Faith Bible. Just look for My Faith Bible on Facebook. I can't wait to hear from you. Can't wait to hear how our messages have impacted you and how God's changed your life through what He's doing through us. We love you. Enjoy the message. I'll see you right back here in 26 minutes. If you're joining us by television, and I know you are, thank you for your faithfulness. I hear so many good stories coming from our television ministry, how God is blessing, and I want to thank you for tuning in every week to Faith Bible Church. Amen. Amen. So we're continuing this week, man, in our series that we started last week called Help Me, the Me That Nobody Sees. And last week we talked about loneliness. And the whole idea of this series is that oftentimes we walk around with the us that everybody sees, the us that we want people to see, but then there's that us, that other us, that we tend to be good at hiding. And it's the us deep down inside that nobody sees. And I want to talk this month about all of those things. Last week, we talked about loneliness. And this week, we're going to talk about something that we can hide very well, a lot like loneliness, but it's called discouragement. Discouragement. And like loneliness, we can be discouraged at many things at many times. And depending on what's going on in our lives, we can get easily discouraged if we don't view things in the correct way. And today, I want to teach you, man, how to handle discouragement when it comes your way, because it's a part of everybody's life. Amen. Amen. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 1 through 3, it reads this way. It says, "Now when Sanballat heard that we were building the wall, he was angry and greatly enraged, and he jeered at the Jews. And he said in the presence of his brothers and of the army of Samaria, 'What are these feeble Jews doing? Will they restore it for themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they finish it up in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of rubbish and burn ones at that?' Tobiah the Ammonite was beside him, and he said, 'Yes, what they are building, if a fox goes up on it, he will break down their stone wall.'" What's going on here, Pastor? Nehemiah was a cupbearer. He was a cupbearer for King Artaxerxes of Persia. And the cupbearer's role in the life of the king was he was the one who tasted the king's drinks, mostly wine, to make sure that they weren't poisonous. And he protected the king from being poisoned by drinking his drink before the king drank, so that if it was poisonous, the cupbearer would die instead of the king. And pretty much it would go like, taste the wine, he died, nope, don't need to drink that. So I have armor bearers, but I got to tell you, as a pastor, I'm in need of some cup bearers. Nobody volunteer? Nobody? Y'all don't love your pastor? Y'all don't love him? He was a cup bearer. Now watch this. But his brother came to him one day and told him that the Jews who had been forced to leave Jerusalem, their homeland, some of them had gone back. But the ones who had gone back had a problem. there was a wall that was built around the city, and it was a common thing back in that day. And the purpose of the wall was to protect the city from the enemies. So that if I was inside of the city, there was this wall of protection around me. So if an enemy was besieging the city, we can see him coming, we could lock the gates and be inside the wall and be protected from him. And so this wall was missing, and Nehemiah knew that if the people who were back at Jerusalem did not have a wall, there was something very essential to their lives that they needed that they did not have. This burdened his heart. And so he goes to the king and he says, listen, my people don't have a wall around the city, and I need you to release me. I need you to free me up to go back and build this wall for my people. And to his surprise, the king allowed him to do it. So he leaves and he goes and he gathers whoever he can and he starts to build this wall. Now, a couple of things I want to point out about this whole situation. Number one, Nehemiah was building this wall, get this, for the people of God. These were the Israelites, God's chosen people. And so in essence, he was doing something for God. But number two, not only was he doing something for God, but he was doing something for which he had not the skill to do it. He wasn't a wall builder. He was a cup bearer. And so he was taking on something that he didn't have the skills to get done. Not only was Nehemiah doing something for God, and not only was he taking on something that he didn't have the skills to get done, but get this, number three is Nehemiah didn't have the resources to get it done. So he wants to do something for God, but he doesn't have the skill. And not only does he not have the skill, but he also doesn't have the resources. When you go back and you read the story, Nehemiah had to go around and beg people for the resources that he needed in order to get it done. He didn't have the skill, he didn't have the resources, but he's doing this great thing for God. And here's the fourth thing you need to know, and we're going to kind of camp out right here, and that is that Nehemiah had some obstacles that should have caused him to be discouraged. Wait, Pastor. He was doing something for God. Yeah. So why in the world would he have obstacles that should have caused him to be discouraged? I mean, if you're doing something for God and you're doing something for other people and you sacrificing and you doing the right thing and you getting outside of yourself, shouldn't it be that God don't allow no obstacles to come against you? Shouldn't it be that everything just goes smooth and every door that needs to be opened gets opened and God allows everything to go right? Because after all, you're doing something for him, right? Wrong. And watch this. That's the false reality that many of us buy. That if we're doing the right thing, for the right reason, toward the right people, that God's going to cause every obstacle to be removed and every path to be made smooth, and things are going to go peachy keen. And this is what I need you to know if you don't take anything else away from this. And that is that just because you're doing the right thing, to the right people, for the right reason, doesn't mean that everything's going to go smooth. And then here's the opposite side of that. If you're doing the right thing for the right reason, toward the right people, more than likely things are going to get messed up. Why, Pastor? Because we forget that we have an enemy who is opposed to everything good in your life. Who is opposed. The Bible says that he came for the sole purpose of to kill, to steal, and to destroy. And he wants to kill, steal, and destroy everything good about your life. So I need you to understand that opposition doesn't normally happen when you're doing something wrong, but a lot of times opposition happens as a result of you doing something right. Because get this, if you're not doing anything right, not concerned about chasing God's purpose for your life, not concerned about pursuing God's dreams for your life, Why in the world does the enemy need to mess with you? Because you're already helping him out. Why would he mess with you? He's not. He's going to mess with that person who's made up in their mind, I'm going to pursue God's calling for my life. I'm going to chase God's purpose for my life. I'm going to go after what God told me to do. And now he gets mad and he starts messing all up in your Kool-Aid. And you sitting around going, but Jesus, I was doing what you told me to do. It never ceases to amaze me that when somebody calls me for marital counseling, I can count on it. The first thing that the person who's calling for the counseling is going to say, first thing, husband or wife, first thing they're going to say, I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing for my marriage. If it's a parent who's calling, Pastor, I don't understand how I got here. I don't know why this boy acting like this. I don't know why this young lady is cutting up like this. I did what I was supposed to do as a parent. I raised them in church and in the fear and admonition of the Lord and went to all the football and basketball games and I supported them and I bought everything. I went without so they could have. I just don't understand why Jesus is allowing me to experience this. Somebody lied to us and told us that life ought to be fair. Somebody lied to us and told us if you do A and B, the next thing is going to be C. And God never said that. God never said, well, Pastor, why would a good God allow Satan to come against you and put obstacles and stuff in your way when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as far as he's concerned? I'll tell you why. Because if God never allowed you to struggle, even when you're doing good, you would get to the place where you felt like you don't need him. Wow. You would arrive at the conclusion that, so every now and then, God sticks an obstacle in there. He brings some opposition in there, some stuff you can't handle, in order to refocus you and draw your attention back to him. Amen. And to let you know that without me, you can't do anything. Amen. But with me, all things are possible. So he's not going to let everything go smooth, even if you're doing the right thing. Why? Because if he does, you're going to conclude that you're doing it. And before you know it, you skipping out on church. You at the beach with Bay. You being messy, ain't you? You knew I was messy when you walked through them doors. Why? Because everything's going what? Smooth. So God said, nope. Even when you're doing what's right, I'm going to give you a little headache. Amen. Why, Lord? Keep you on your knees. Amen. Give you a little opposition. Why, Lord? To keep you in my face. Amen. I'm going to cause some disturbances in your life, even when you're doing the right thing. Why, Lord? To let you know you need me. Amen. Keep drawing into myself. Watch this. Obstacles. What kind of obstacles, Pastor? This is what the enemy does. Go back to 4:1-3. Watch what happens. Now, when Sanballat heard that we were building the wall, he was angry and greatly, what's that word? He mad. And he jeered at the Jews. Watch this. And he said in the presence of his brothers and of the army of Samaria, what are these feeble Jews doing? Feeble means weak, just in case you didn't know. Will they restore it for themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they finish up in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of rubbish and burn ones at that? And then another dude, as if Sanballat wasn't doing a good job, named Tobiah, he comes along. The Ammonite was beside him, and he said, yes, what they're building, if a fox goes up on it, he'll break it down with their stone wall. In other words, their wall is that weak. They're doing that terrible of a job building this wall. The first thing I need you to know is one of the ways that the enemy tries to discourage you is through criticism. And a lot of times it's criticism from the people who know you. Sanballat and Tobiah weren't foreigners, they were Jewish people. And they lived in the diaspora of the city. But Sanballat and Tobiah, although they were Jewish people, although they were kin to them, related to them, they were partially Jewish. Get this, they benefited from the wall not being there both financially and politically. So the reason why they were being critical of what Nehemiah and the Jewish people were doing was because they were messing up their money. I need you to understand this. Some of the people who are closest to you, when you're doing the right thing, either for yourself or for the Lord or for other people, they're going to criticize it. Why, Pastor? Because they don't mean no harm, but many times, although they're close to you, it goes against their own self-interest. And so you can't be surprised by that. You can't be shocked by that. And that don't mean you need to quit loving them. That don't mean you need to get rid of all your haters. No, that's not what that means. They're doing the same thing you would be doing if something looked like it was going to interfere with your life. And so what you got to learn to do, though, is not refuse to receive the criticism, but instead respond to the criticism in the right way. Get this, Nehemiah didn't ignore his critics. How you know, Pastor? Two reasons. Number one, it's in the text. Number two, he responded to him. How did he respond to him? Look at verse 4. Hear, O our God, for we are despised. Turn back their taunt on their own heads and talking about Sanballat and Tobias, and give them up to be plundered in a land where they are what? Don't cover their guilt, Lord, and let not their sin be blotted out. Don't forgive them for their sins, Jesus. Blot it out from your spite, for they have provoked you to anger in the presence of the what? They trying to embarrass your people. Sick them, Jesus. So how should I respond to my critics? Put a mean prayer on them. Don't you do that. I'm just playing. Don't you do that. How do I respond to my critics? First of all, you go to the Lord about it. You talk to the Lord about it. Don't automatically think that just because they're a critic, it's bad for you. Get this, a lot of times criticism, although it's coming from the wrong place, can be the best thing for you. Watch this. Even if it's coming from the wrong place, if it's the truth, it's the truth. And William Cullen Bryant quoted by Dr. Martin Luther King said, truth crushed to the earth will rise again. In other words, what he was saying was something about the truth. You can try to get rid of it. You can try to shake it off. You can try to refuse to listen to your haters. You can blast them on Facebook. You can do all of that. But if your critics are telling you the truth, guess what? It's going to come up again. And for many of us, the reason why you're stuck in life is because you refuse to listen to the truth your critics tell you. You steady shaking your haters off. I get rid of my haters. Meanwhile, they telling the truth. And that's why you can't go there. Well, Pastor, do you get criticized? All the time. All the time. From people who close to me. Like who? My family. And I ain't talking about my cousins. In my house. Amen. Your first lady. Every week I get the Sunday morning rundown. The first service you was all right. The second service you woke up. But that third service, woo! I can't wait till you preach every service like you preach the third service. It's like, well, thanks a lot. But you know what I learned to do? I used to hate it. But now every Sunday I look forward to it. Every Sunday I go home and I ask her, babe, what's up? How did we do today? As if she helped me preach it. Now watch this. When I started paying attention to what she's saying, when I started allowing her to critique me, I noticed I started growing. I noticed I started getting better. I noticed my delivery got better. One of the things that she told me early out was, you do too many uhs when you're preaching. Too many uhs. Every other word is and God, and y'all, and there, and And I started listening to myself. I got on my own nerves. You can't be afraid to be criticized, even if it's not coming from a good place. But seek the Lord when you're criticized. Don't be discouraged. Seek God. Watch the second thing. So we built the what? Wait. They start building the wall. They receive criticism. He looks to God, and then he keeps building. Amen. I want you to get this. They start building the wall. He gets criticized. He looks to God, and then what does he do? He started building again. You know the problem with most of us? We get discouraged by criticism, and then we quit building the wall. We allow our critics to talk us away from what God's purposed us to do. And what you got to learn to do is look to God and then keep on building. Got to keep doing it. Somebody they gonna tell you crazy. They're going to tell you ain't got no business. They're going to tell you don't know what you're doing. And a lot of times they are absolutely right. But if God told you to do it, you look to the Lord and say, Father, I didn't call myself to this. You called me to do this, and I stepped out on faith, and I know you're going to honor your word in my life. And you keep doing what God told you to do. Never forget, we started building this building. Oh, man, we were working like dogs. Started building it. You know, we said, camp's coming. And my dad set a goal. Said, we're going to get this building done in 77 days. We got contractor friends, and friends who build houses, and friends who are commercial builders, and other people, friends in construction. They told us, y'all crazy. Ain't no way in the world. Y'all gonna get that building done in 77 days. Got discouraging at times because stuff got held up. Things didn't go like they were supposed to go. And the whole time, we already frustrated. We already discouraged. And I don't know if you know what it's like for you to already be discouraged and frustrated about something, and then somebody come along, just want to punch them in their throat. We got people stopping by saying, y'all don't have no construction experience. Y'all don't even know what y'all doing. Ain't no way in the world y'all gonna get this done. It is not possible. When I'm told me, I'm in a commercial contracting business. And I'm telling you, I got 30-something years of experience. And y'all crazy. There's no way in the world y'all gonna get this done that fast. It just does not happen that fast. Y'all don't have no experience. Y'all don't know nothing about concrete. Y'all don't know nothing about electricity. Y'all don't know nothing about plumbing. Y'all can't hold a paintbrush straight. Y'all don't know nothing about anything, not sheetrock, not nothing. Y'all ain't got no business trying this, and y'all sure ain't got no business talking about it's gonna be done in 77 days. But we kept praying and we kept on working, and day 77, from the dirt to the finishing touches, we walked in this building and praised God about it. Were we crazy? Yep. But faith and crazy looks a lot alike sometimes. If you allow it to, discouragement will move you away from faith because it's got you thinking you're crazy. What do we do, Pastor? Watch what he says. He says, and I looked and arose and said to the nobles and the officials, to the rest of the people, do not be afraid. He said, I looked at them and I said, do not be afraid. If Nehemiah were in the New Testament, he would have said, do not be afraid. And they would have asked him, why, Nehemiah? And he would say, because God promised us, I will never leave you, nor will I forsake you. He would have said, so do not be afraid. And they might have asked him, why, Nehemiah, should we not be afraid? And he would have said, because greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world, so do not be afraid. And they would have said, we get that, but we still don't understand. We got enemies approaching and people criticizing us, and we're already discouraged because we don't have everything that we need. Tell us again why we shouldn't be afraid. And he would have said, because eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man what God has prepared for those who love him. We get that, Nehemiah, but you don't understand. There are people who want to kill us behind what we're doing. And he would have said, yeah, I hear you as well, but this is what you need to understand. We can do all things, not some things, but all things through Christ who gives us strength. Why shouldn't we be afraid? Because God causes all things to work together for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. Don't be afraid. Why, Nehemiah? Because what shall separate me from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus? Shall famine? No. Shall sword? No. Shall peril? No. I am convinced that nothing shall separate me from the love of God. He said, don't be afraid of him. Why? Because you got the God factor. You just keep going, and then this is what he tells them. Get this. He says, remember what? Remember the Lord. You know, when you get discouraged, you know what you got to take time to do? You got to hit the pause button. Every now and then, hit the pause button. Whether it's about your marriage, about your children, whether it's about being in school, whether it's about your job, you get discouraged, find your little corner at your job. Hit the pause button. Remember the Lord. What's that look like, Pastor? Every time I get discouraged, I think back to a little room in Robert, Louisiana, where I was at the lowest place of my life, where I felt like giving up. I felt like suicide was my only option. And then I remember that I went down on my knees, one person, and I told God, if you could do something with this mess that I call a life, if you can do something with this mess that I've created with my life, I will surrender my life to you. And I got to tell you, I went down one person and I came up another person. And ever since then, life hasn't been perfect, but it gets sweeter day by day. He gave me new hope. He gave me a sense of direction. I don't wake up thinking about why I should die anymore. Every day I'm waking up thanking God for the opportunity to live. Think back, and I say, if he pulled me out of that pit, ain't nothing my God can't handle. Then this is the last thing. Watch what he says. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome. Watch this, watch this. I want you to get this. He says, fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your homes. I want you to get this.
you're not fighting for you. Listen. If it's your marriage, realize what you're fighting for. Not for you, because if you fight for you, you'll give up. If you fight for you, you'll quit. If you fight for you, you'll get divorced. You'll say, I'm through with it. I'm walking away from it. But you got to find another cause to fight for. Fight for your children. Fight for the future grandchildren you gonna have. Fight for your husband who don't like you no more. Fight for your wife who can't stand you no more. Find something bigger than you to fight for. If it's school, fight for your future. Fight so that you can tell your children, this is what we do. We don't quit when the going gets tough. We don't stop when we get discouraged. We finish whatever we put our hands to. You gotta find something to fight for. It's on your job, fight for your family. Make up in your mind, I gotta get through this. I gotta go through this. Why? Not for me. But I got kids depending on me. If it's about a ministry like it is for me, I got to tell you, oftentimes as a pastor, it gets discouraging. But then God reminds me, this ain't for you. There are lost people who need to know that Jesus Christ is the hope of the world. Fight for the daughters of mothers who need their mamas back. Fight for the sons of fathers who need their daddies back. Fight for future generations who need to know that Jesus Christ is Lord. You gotta find something to fight for. Help you through discouragement. Listen to me. We all have discouraging days. We all get discouraged about different things. It's a part of it. You gotta look to God. Get back to work. You got to not be afraid. You got to remember the Lord. You got to remember what you're fighting for.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listen. Remember, the way that we do this is through your support. So while you're thinking about it, go right now to myfaithbible.org, click on the giving tab to support this ministry. You can also download the My Faith Bible app where you can keep up with our podcast and everything else. And please hear me, whenever you're in town, either Covington or Slidell, make sure you stop by and worship with us and let me know that you saw us on television first. The addresses are 1148 North Columbia Street in Covington, Louisiana. Those services are at 7:45 and 10:45. And then there's 57209 Allen Road in Slidell. That service starts at 9 a.m. sharp every Sunday morning. I can't wait to see you in person. Make sure you drop by and worship with us. See you right back here next Sunday morning at 7 a.m.